Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode of Wild Kentuckiana Live. I'm your host, Tom Chamberlain. We have a great show for you tonight. We have some fly fishing information for you. We also have a staff member, Tracy from Lights Out Outdoors, is going to share some trapping information, and we're also going to see a little bit of footage of his 2015 buck kill. But to start it off with, we got Bill Wilson from Orvis, Louisville. Bill, thank you so much for coming on tonight.
How you doing, Tom? Thank you.
Give us a little background history on the Orvis company.
Sure. So Orvis was founded in 1856 as a mail order company, and we're still family owned, based in southern Vermont, and we have 69 stores throughout the U.S. We've got one here just off Brownsboro Road in the paddock shops at Louisville. And so we're a world leader in the fly fishing retail business, and we also offer a bunch of great men's and women's apparel for the sporting lifestyle.
Okay, so when people think fly fishing and these very avid fly fishermen, they think Orvis.
Sure.
You also, from my understanding, have a few, like 15 stores in the UK?
Absolutely, yeah. So we're an international brand, and we also have a great travel service. So if you ever find yourself traveling internationally or just here in the U.S., and you want to find out if an outfitter for upland bird shooting or fly fishing is a good place to be, we vetted that lodge for you and we give them our endorsement. Oh,
excellent. So if they have the Orvis endorsement, you know they're an established corporation, they treat their customers right because you're putting your name on there.
Absolutely.
You know, been in business since 1856, that's impressive in itself. Not many outdoor companies, whether it be hunting or fishing related, have that kind of history or you know, track record. 1856 is a long time.
Absolutely. We've got a bunch of great products out there. We also stand behind everything we sell. So there's a 100% satisfaction guarantee. We want to make sure that you're happy with our fishing rods and our waders. And if there's ever any issues, you bring it to us and we'll take care of you.
Now, what is your actual role with the Orvis company?
So I'm the fishing manager at our local shop here in Louisville.
Okay.
And our job is to make fly fishing really fun and easy. We want to get people out there on the water. Mm-hmm. You know, Kentucky has more waterways than any state in the U.S. except Alaska. That offers a lot of really great opportunities to explore here in Kentucky for different species of fish. A lot of people think trout when they think fly fishing. Mm-hmm. We don't have to be up in Montana. We can make this fun and simple and do it in your own backyard. So there's a bunch of great smallmouth to target up on Harrods Creek or down at the Elkhorn. I found myself fishing at the Falls of the Ohio a lot for the hybrid stripers, sauger, and drum.
Now, you know, our Fish and Wildlife Department here in Kentucky has done an amazing job. Ron Brooks is the head of the Fisheries Department for our state. He's done a wonderful job with his biologists and his staff he has to make sure that they stock trout all over the state.
Absolutely.
And you're starting to see a lot more trout fishermen around this area, whereas, you know, 15, 20 years ago, you didn't really think about having trout in Kentucky that much.
Sure.
Whether it be the cold water streams or whatever the necessity they need. Most people I know, when they go trout fishing, they hit Smoky Mountains.
Right.
You know, now they're saying, oh, we do it here. The old way of fishing was spin cast, bluegill hook, piece of corn.
Right.
You know, I'm sure you've heard that, you
Sure.
know, 1,000 times.
Yep.
And maybe even used that when you were younger. Now, where are you from?
I actually grew up in the Baltimore area, but I moved to Louisville recently from Colorado. So.
Okay. Now, you were at Colorado with the Orvis company?
Yes.
Okay. And did you do the same type of thing out there?
We did a lot of fly fishing out there, a bunch of great western streams, so if anyone finds himself heading in that direction, come in the shop, we'll give you a bunch of good tips.
Now, what I like about your shop is it's a one-stop shop for fly fishing mm-hmm. and upland.
Absolutely. Yep.
You have everything from the very avid, high-end fly fisherman mm-hmm. to the guy that's never picked up, like myself. I've never fly fished.
Yeah.
Don't know the first thing about it. I've always been intrigued by it because it looks very complicated.
Sure. It's really pretty fun and easy. We do a great job with classes. Mm-hmm. So in the summer, we run a program called Fly Fishing 101. We're going to bring you into the shop. We're going to teach you the basics of casting, rigging up the rod, go over some knots with you, do a little fly selection and how to present those flies in the water. That sort of dovetails into our Fly Fishing 201 program. There we'll get out on the local water. Sometime we'll take you down to Otter Creek. We'll get out Long Run Park and we'll chase bluegill and bass on a fly rod.
Now, when you're fly fishing, you see most people doing in waders and, you know, need a waist deep water.
Sure.
Is it possible to fly fish out of a canoe or a kayak? Or
it's a great way to access a lot of different spots. You can even do it from a stand-up paddleboard. So, you know, areas like Harrods Creek where you can get back there in a canoe, that's a really fun option.
So it's not all, you don't always have to stand when you're fly fishing. You can do it from a seated position or,
of course,
or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, people will run drift boats down on the Cumberland all the time, just take a kayak out in a bass lake, or, you know, for that matter, traditional wading in places like the Otter Creek.
Now, I've been in Kentucky Lake doing some crappie fishing, and for our TV show, I've done some episodes down there, and I've seen guys in bass boats. I'm talking $40,000, $50,000 bass rigs.
Yeah.
You know, we're crappie fishing, we're using spinner casts, and you know, they're sitting there fly fishing out of their bass rig. You know, I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive there. So you have a lot of really dedicated fly fishers here in Louisville, is that true?
Absolutely. There's some good clubs out there. There's one called Derby City Fly Fishers. It's a good group of guys and girls. And if you want to get on the water, they run some good events. And of course, we've got a lot of good events at the shop too.
And what I like about it is this fly fishing is not so difficult that you all can teach people how to do this.
It's really fun and easy.
Children, women, it can be a family event.
Absolutely. And we love it when you come in the shop and say, I've never fly fished before. We'll take you out back right then and there and we'll teach you how to cast. It's a really fun and easy way to get started.
Now I'm a dummy. I'm a self-proclaimed dummy. I've never done this. Yeah. How long would it take for you to teach me how to throw this?
I can really get you casting in about 20 minutes. We've got some really nice beginner packages to our rods, and they all break down to about 4 pieces, which makes them really easy to travel with, super lightweight, and you get to the point where you end up taking it everywhere with you.
Really?
Yep.
It's compact. You can throw it in your trunk or have it behind the seat of your truck.
I'm sure you have a spinning rod in the back of your truck, and I always keep a fly rod in the back of my
Yeah, you know, I don't right now because I'm in deer mode. I'm usually keeping my bow right now in my truck, but yes, when it gets spring, in the summer, I typically always have a fishing poke. I never know when I'm with that phone call, hey, let's go fishing.
Right.
I always have it with me. We're going to take a break here in a few seconds here, and when we get back, we're going to dig a little deeper into the actual flies, and I know you have some classes on how to tie flies.
Absolutely.
So we're going to try to get the general public more involved in fly fishing and funnel these people to Orvis, Louisville, because y'all have a lot of solid information, a lot of intelligent people that know what they're talking about that can speak with the most avid fly fishermen, or like me, it's never done before. Either way, you can show us what to do. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Hey folks, welcome back to Wild Kentuckiana Live. I'm your host, Tom Chamberlain. With me, I've got Bill Wilson from Orvis, Louisville. Just a little recap. 1856, y'all started as a mail order company. Yep. You've got 69 stores in the U.S. Is it 11 or 15 in the UK?
11 in the UK.
11 in the UK,
yep.
So didn't realize the UK was big on fly fishing.
Yeah.
That's something new too. Y'all have several different classes available from... let's go back into a little bit on the classes you have offered. Sure.
So we offer 3 different classes. I mean, you can really come in the shop anytime and we'll teach you, but there's 3 specific classes. They're on Saturday mornings, and they're going to be about 2.5 or 3 hours. And, you know, bring your wife, your girlfriend with you, bring your kids with you. In the summer, we run Fly Fishing 101, and our Fly Fishing 201 classes where we'll teach you the basics of casting, rigging, and getting your fly out on the water. In the winter here, which we're going to start up pretty soon, mid-January, on January 16th, we're going to teach Fly Tying 101. One of the best hobbies throughout the winter or the off-season of fishing is tying your own flies. There's really nothing more satisfying than catching a fish on a fly you tied yourself.
Absolutely. You know, we'll go into that. We'll dig into that here in a minute. But I would encourage everybody out there watching this, if you're interested in fly fishing, don't wait till January 15th or 16th. Go in and see these guys tomorrow. And they brought me this really cool hat, and I think it's going to help me catch fish. So I'm hoping for that. But go in there and see these guys. Talk to these guys. These guys are there to help you. It's their job. It's their passion. So you'll be able to explain to them what they need and everything else. Now we have some equipment here, and we're going to show you some different options. And we're going to show you some options that from the very low-end beginner all the way up to the Mac Daddy. We all know that sportsmen and women have disposable income. Yeah. We like to use that disposable income on hunting and fishing gear.
Absolutely.
So we're going to show you some fishing gear they have here, some flies, some rods, and some ins and outs, some things I have no idea what we're even talking about, so I'm going to lean on you to explain these for us. And also, folks, they also offer some upland stuff too, correct?
Absolutely. We've got great briar pants and things like that. We've got good field coats for you. And
Shooter
some great
shirts.
shooting shirts. Yep.
Yeah, and you have stuff for your dog. You have your beds and really nice leads and
Yeah,
stuff like that because, you know,
absolutely.
we've got to take care of our animals. They're very important to
The
us.
dogs love our beds.
Yeah, and they're like our family. So we're going to look at some of this stuff here. And y'all have a Facebook page, and, you know, make sure you go out and check their Facebook page out.
Yeah.
Now let's go into this top one here. Exactly what we're looking at here.
All right, so this is our Clearwater package, and this is a great entry-level package. These also make great Christmas gifts. All of our rods are 4-piece rods, and it's a graphite rod. Comes in this rod tube, and these all come with a 25-year warranty. So if you ever worry about slamming this in the car door, this is a fantastic rod to get. You don't have to worry about that too much.
Now this is a 25-year warranty.
Yep.
So if somebody really does slam it in their car door, you're going to replace it for them.
Absolutely. They come see me at the shop. We send it back to Vermont where they repair it, and we get you a new rod.
Really? That's
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah.
Now what's this setup here, Ron?
So this is our Orvis Clearwater package, rod, reel, line, and tube. It's going to run you about $300.
Now I'm going to show them this one right here. This one here is another, it's a really high-end one, but this is basically what comes in this pack, just a lower-end version of this.
Right.
So you're getting your line, your reel, and of course we have the 4-piece rod set here.
Yeah.
So let's explain this high-end one real quick, and then
Sure.
we'll go to the other one.
Yeah. So this is our Helios 2 rod. This is one of the fastest and lightest rods on the market. It's built on an incredibly steep taper graphite rod. It's got grade A cork, and it's handmade up in Vermont.
Now, they really hand make all this.
Absolutely.
Now, what is a system like this, and you told me off air what it was, and it blew my mind. What does this system here cost?
So if you want the Helios 2, if you want to make a man cry for Christmas, you get him a Helios 2.
Right.
And that'll run you about $1,200.
So this system here is $1,200.
Yep.
I'm hoping you got insurance because I'm a little clumsy, and I hope I don't break this thing.
Yep.
That's impressive. Now, this one right here is the Orvis Encounter, is that correct?
Correct. Yep. So this is a great package that you can just grab off the wall, walk out the door, and you're ready to fish. Something like this will run you about $160, but the reel is all rigged up with line, and you got a leader in it, and you're ready to go.
Now, what I like about this is because as a hunter, $160, we spend that on a lot of stuff, whether it be binoculars or, heck, even some game cameras cost that, but a tree stand can cost that. Definitely a lot cheaper than a weapon you're going to use, whether it be a gun, a muzzleloader, a bow, a crossbow. You're not going to get a quality piece of equipment for $165. This kit right here gets you right out to the water, going right away.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So that's impressive. So they have a lot of options, and we're showing and of course this cheaper one here does not have the 25-year warranty as the Orvis Clearwater does, correct?
Yep.
And this is the one, if somebody comes in and says, hey, I don't want the cheapest thing on the wall, I don't want the most expensive, but I want a good quality system that I know it's going to last me for a while. Is this the one you suggest?
I think the Clearwaters are great. It's the workhorse of our line, and it's a rod people come back to for years.
And I like it's a hard case, it protects it.
Yep.
It's very compact. It will fit behind your truck seat.
Yeah.
It will fit in your trunk of your vehicle. And like you said earlier, you don't go anywhere out. So you'll always have it with you.
Yep.
So these are a lot of really, really good options here. Now we get into flies. Now, I think there's probably, a billion different flies?
Absolutely.
And every one of these flies presents for a different species, or how does this work?
Sure. Just like with spin fishing, we've got all-around flies, and that's sort of what you see in this box here. Anything that you chase with a spinning rod, you can also fly fish for. So we've got some bluegill poppers up top, some sort of trout flies in the middle with your classic dry flies, and then we have some bass flies at the bottom. Those are my favorite, those little clousers. They can catch anything, anywhere in the world.
Okay, and what do an individual fly here cost? Because when you get into like bass fishing, a lot of your spinnerbaits are $15, $17, $18, depending on the brand you buy and the type you buy.
Yeah. These flies here might run you about $2 to $3 a piece.
So if you lose one of these, you're not going to cry as much as you lose a $15.
We leave them in the tree all the time.
Really?
Yep.
And do you personally tie your own flies?
I do. Yep.
Now, what kind of fun is that?
It's incredibly rewarding. It's a great hobby to come home and do after work. It's nice and relaxing, and then you get to take it out on the water with you.
Now, y'all offer a fly tying class?
Correct. So if you want to learn the basics and walk out with a couple flies that you've tied yourself, and you can go out and fish them, we're going to start that in January on Saturday mornings.
It's going to be January, was it 15th or 16th?
January 16th.
January 16th, folks. If you want to learn how to tie your own flies and These guys are going to be really good accommodating you anyway because they want to see you out there using this product. This is their passion. That's why they do this, and they're going to help you whatever way they can. Now, give me the address of y'all store.
Sure. We're in the Summit shops. We're at 4288 Summit Plaza Drive. You can give us a call anytime at 425-0198 or follow us on Instagram. It's just Orvis Louisville. That's a great way to see what's going on in the water, see if there's any events in the shop, and check out the reports.
Now, on your Instagram page, do y'all do a lot of updates on fishing reports and that type of thing?
Absolutely.
That's great. And, you wouldn't be surprised if they follow you there and they happen to see you out there in the water somewhere.
Yeah, if you see me on the water, come say hi.
And I'll tell you what, folks, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to do another little segment here with them, and we're going to dig a little deeper into what these products actually can do for you, so stay tuned. Hey folks, welcome back to Wild Kentuckiana Live. I'm your host, Tom Chamberlain, and I have with me Bill Wilson from Orvis, Louisville. But before we get back into Bill here for our next segment on some more gear he has here, I want to talk about a great sponsor we have in Knob Creek Gun Range. These guys have everything you need from anything from ammo to the machine gun shoot they hold twice a year. That's a fantastic event. They have a very nice shooting range. They're very intelligent guys. They know what you need. They can help you set your weapon up. And if you don't have time to actually go out there and set your weapon up, they have a service that will sight your weapon in for you. They have rings, they have guns, they have every gun you can ever imagine, from machine guns to 22 pistols. So make sure you go check out Knob Creek Gun Range and tell them Wild Kentuckiana Live sent you. Now, Bill, we've been talking about what you all do.
Yeah.
Before we get into this next little merchandise you have here, I want to talk about how Orvis gives back.
Sure.
Tell me a little bit about what you all do to help ensure we have this environment for the future.
So we love being outside, and we realize that if we want to continue to do that, we need to protect our resources.
Right.
So Orvis does a great job committing 5% of their pre-tax profits to protecting nature. And we do that locally by committing to places like Kentucky Waterways Alliance or Casting for Recovery. And we also do that on a national platform through groups like Trout Unlimited, Ducks Unlimited, and the Chesapeake Bay Foundation.
And those are all great foundations, and all those foundations are trying to secure our rights and resources for the future. And it takes people like Orvis on a national and local level to help these organizations fulfill their goals. So people like dummies like me can go out and try to fly fish.
Yeah.
So I'm really proud that you all are giving back to the community and giving back on a nationwide atmosphere. Now, tell us what we got here. Now, we're going to talk a little about this boot first.
Sure.
This boot looks very comfortable. It's very durable. Give us a little history on this boot here.
Sure. So Orvis has its own line of waders and boots, and we typically run stocking foot boots instead of your boot foot. So this is something you're going to wear over your stocking foot waders out on the water. This is great to hike in for miles. We've got the nice Vibram sole on the bottom, so this doesn't carry any aquatic hitchhikers with us, but this will make sure that you've got the grip when you're wading in the water and when you're walking on the bank.
And these are waterproof?
So the stocking foot wader is waterproof on the inside. So the inside of this boot will get wet, but it's also great to wear when you're wet wading in the summer too.
Okay. And I'm sure this is probably, it air dries really quick when you...
It does. It ports water very well. It's got a nice stiff upper so you don't turn your ankles when you're walking.
Yeah, I noticed that. It's very, very firm up here, so it gives you a lot of support. So now what's this boot here run retail?
That's going to run you about $180.
Okay.
And I mean, I've walked miles in a pair of boots like that.
It's no different, folks, than if you're buying a muck hunting boot or an Under Armour hunting boot. You're going to spend that much on that too. So I'm really finding out that you can get into this sport of fly fishing for very reasonably priced stuff.
Definitely.
You don't have to buy the high-end stuff. Growing up hunting, we never bought the high-end stuff. We just happened to accumulate it over time once we fell in love with the sport. And you can do the same with fly fishing. You can start out with very basic equipment. Just having the knowledge of people around you to direct you in the right way is the key to this. Now tell us a little bit about this bag you got here.
Sure. So the reason I love the sling pack is this is something that you wear over your shoulder, and you've got everything you need with you. So you can take a couple fly boxes and a bunch of different flies out on the water, pack your lunch or even a few beers in this thing. And then you don't have to pick up and carry a tackle box down the river. It's all on your shoulders. and it sits on your back so that nothing's in the way while you're casting. You've got a little drying patch on the side for your flies. You can hold your nippers in here. Your hemostats sit up front, and we've got a bunch of tippet spools off the back here.
Now, when you say tippet spools, for people that don't know what that is, what is tippet? What is that?
Sure. So when you're spin fishing, obviously you're using mono or fluorocarbon or something like that. And when you're fly fishing, we have basically a 9-foot leader on the end of our fly line, which is either mono or fluoro. And then we use the spools of tippet to add or subtract length and different pound tests to that leader.
Okay, so you basically you leave the line that comes on your fly there, and you actually just add into it and change the leader out for maybe going from trout to smallmouth bass.
Exactly.
So is it something you can do on a fly, something you can do right there on the lake?
Yeah, it's just a simple double overhand knot, and we use a lot of the same knots you all use in spin fishing. But for example, if you want to get down deeper, you might want to lengthen your leader a little bit, or maybe add some split shot to it, and that's where you're going to be adding longer pieces of tippet. Okay,
and you do add split shot at times to get your fly down?
Yeah, and we'll even fish 2 flies at once. Sometimes you fish one floating on top of the water, add a little piece of tippet to the bottom, and fish something floating underneath.
Now, have you ever caught 2 fish at once doing that?
I've never been that lucky.
Yeah, I mean,
it happens.
It happens, I know.
It does happen.
You know, I've seen guys down at LBL, whether it be Barkley or Kentucky Lake, they're running, double spinner baits, and I've seen them hook up to it at one time, and I'm like, boy, you guys are living right, because I've never done nothing like that. So I guess, do y'all offer gift certificates for Christmas?
Definitely. Actually, we've got a great promotion going on in the shop now, so you can come and get a gift certificate, or we've got 20% off any of our rod outfits as well.
Wow. The ones we showed earlier, 20% off those?
Yeah.
So folks, you're already getting a bargain at that anyway, so now they're offering 20% off. So if you think your significant other, girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, whatever the case may be, might be interested in trying fly fishing, if they're already an outdoorsman or outdoors woman, go by Orvis, see them, pick up a gift certificate. It's good for anything in your store. So, you're going to send them out there, you're going to get a gift certificate, and, if you have a fly fisherman already in your family and you have the opportunity to step up, see these guys, go get that $1,200 reel for them, boy. You'd be number one in their book for a long time, wouldn't you? Absolutely. Now, what kind of personal equipment do you use? What on the rod and reel end?
Sure. So I take this pack with me everywhere I go, and I like to carry what we call a 5-weight rod. That's sort of an all-around rod that you can fish for trout, bluegill or crappie, and even use it for some larger smallmouth bass or largemouth bass too.
So basically it's a universal rod.
It's a good all-around, yeah.
Especially for this type of area here.
Definitely. It's a great rod for Kentucky. I mean, we can pare you down if you want to go catch some small brook trout in the Smokies, or if you want to chase stripers on the rough river of the Ohio, we can set you up with a bigger saltwater gear.
So guys, they have everything that you can need for fly fishing, so make sure you go see Orvis. Tell us again where you're located at.
We're in the Summit Plaza shops, or what they call now the paddock shops. So come by and see us.
Yeah, come by. See Bill if you got any questions. He's the man to talk to there. I'm sure everybody in the store is as friendly as he is, and they're all very intelligent on what they're doing over there. So go by and see them. And we take a break here. When we come back, we're going to have Tracy Taylor, the one and only Columbia Tracy Taylor, coming right at you, folks. Hey guys, welcome back to Wild Kentuckiana Live. I'm your host, Tom Chamberlain, and I really want to thank y'all for tuning in tonight. We try to do our best to give you a very educated show with a broad aspect of different ranges from, as you've seen Bill Wilson from Orvis, we had some fly fishing, we always have hunting. We're always standing up for hunter activist rights to make sure that, we always continue to have the land access and Fish and Wildlife provides for us. But this time here, we're going to have Tracy Taylor on. He's one of my staff members with Lights Out Outdoors TV, as you can see on the Pursuit channel coming up this year. Tracy, thanks so much for coming up, buddy.
No problem, Tom.
You're the one and only, the famous Tracy Taylor from Adair County.
I don't know about famous, but probably the one and only.
Okay. Now, let's talk a little about late season hunting tactics, because we are here in the late season. Gun season's behind us now. Muzzleloader is in full swing or just getting over with. We didn't have a great mass crop of nuts this year. So when you're hunting late season, what's your favorite go-to tactic?
Basically, I mean, the properties I have is either cattle pastures or hardwoods.
Right.
And most of my hardwoods have got really deep ravines, or, I don't have access to see a real far away.
Right.
So what I basically focus on year round is what I call a shelf. And because our hills will drop down real steep, and then they'll get a flat spot.
Sure.
And then they'll drop back off, and these
Right.
deer like to skirt the hills. And then usually if you find the right spot, they'll pinch off at both ends. So if you can find where they're pinching and coming and working these shelves real hard, that's where I tend to stay. And in the late season, like you said, you know, if you ain't got a lot of acorns out there.
And last year we had a massive crop
Yeah.
of acorns. And
I had one spot that had a lot of acorns, and other than that, that was about it. So, I mean, you go to feeders or pouring corn out and, you know, run your trail camera, seeing what kind of deer you're getting. Because sometimes it seems in the late season, for me, it's almost like early season. You'll get a bunch of does or you'll get a bunch of bucks. And sometimes you'll get them both mixed together. But, you know, it's just, if you got the spots to do, put out more than one spot and just
Right.
see what you got coming.
what I like to focus on late season, and which I'm focused on now because I've yet to harvest a buck this year, is, for one, gun season's crazy to me. Opening morning of gun season, I heard 31 shots that morning and surrounded me. 31 shots on opening morning. Some of them sound like it was, you know, machine gun fire. I mean, they were shooting at a running deer apparently. So I don't really know what made it and what didn't make it. You know, I tend to take down my cameras before gun season because more people are in the woods, gives you more opportunity for somebody to steal your cameras. So I usually pull them before gun season, and then I'll put them back up after gun season and kind of take an inventory of what I have. Seems like last year we had a huge nut mass. There was acorns all over. It was like on a roller rink. I mean, you would slip and slide everywhere walking through the woods. This year's the totally opposite. We have no nuts in our area around the Bullitt, Nelson, Hardin counties. There's no nuts around that I've seen. So after gun season, put my cameras back out, and I dumped the fire to some corn. Luckily here in Kentucky, it's legal to bait deer all the way up until January till the season ends. So, you know, we take full advantage of that and always abide all your state laws no matter where you're at.
Exactly.
But, you know, we try to focus on bedding areas. These bucks coming out of rut, like we talked earlier tonight, they're wore out. They are exhausted from chasing doe after doe after doe, just like you were when you were 17. You know, sometimes it catches up to you. So now, at this point here, they're wore out. They're trying to feed because they know a winter's coming on. So I try to focus on their bedding areas and food source. There's no food source. No standing crops anymore. Like you said, your cornfields are gone.
Yeah, well, where Mike hunts, he had a large corn area, and it got cut, man. I mean, probably some of the video we'll see on the show later on the Pursuit channel, it's deer after deer after deer. Then, you know, after gun season, of course, a lot of them get thinned out. It went down dramatically on what you saw out there.
And then, of course, the deer that do make it, they've just deplenished what corn was left from the combines. They've tore that up. They've tore up any excess beans that didn't make it into the combine. So that food source is gone. There's no nuts. So now they're going to focus on either food plots that you put out. If you ever need food plot help, make sure you look at your QDMA people. They are really, really up on their food plots. It's what they specialize in, how to manage your property and properly keep the deer there for you. So we plan some late season food plots. We plan these and right before bow season comes in, so when they get that first frost, there's beautiful food plots. And I also focus on ridges, like you were talking about shelves. You know, find that high ridge that they're going to be running because they're looking for food, because they're trying to fatten up for winter.
Yeah.
There's no browse left. None of that stuff there. So that's kind of what I do late season. It seems like we're kind of on the same page with that.
Yeah, you just got to put the food out there for them and hope you're the only one out there.
Right.
You know.
You got to make sure, you know, we dump out tons of corn, and I'm not a big fan of feeders. Electric feeders are really not. I've talked to some really big outfitters that harvest a lot of monster deer here in the state of Kentucky, and you know they're charging $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 for these hunts. So they're bringing some really high-end clients and killing some 192-inch deer. I asked them what their secret is. They don't put feeders out. They said a mature deer, anything over a 4-year-old deer, buck will not go to a feeder. They will go to 500 pounds of corn on the ground, but they won't go to that feeder. You see a lot of young bucks go to those feeders.
Yeah, I mean, I've had experience with that. I got a bucket feeder one time, and when I put it up in the tree, I ran it for 2 or 3 weeks, didn't have the first deer.
Right.
And took it down and just dumped it, went back the next week, and there's all the deer.
Yeah.
You know.
And I feel like it's because those older deer, they didn't get old and big by being dumb. And they know that, you know, that feeder there that goes off, it's kind of like a dinner bell to the younger bucks. They don't know any better. They get fired on a couple times that feeder. They won't come back to that feeder. And the does will always come to that feeder every day. They don't care. They just want to eat.
And you can tell the ones that's had experiences at corn because they come up looking up and down each tree. But
oh yeah, I've had does walk up to my corn piles that I have missed, and boy, they know exactly where my stand's at. They want to make sure I'm there. They want to see what's going on, and they're really quick to jump to get their head down and eat a little bit of corn. But boy, they're right back looking at you. It's hard to draw them when we're doing that.
Yeah.
And that's the old mature does. That's the ones I like taking out. The ones that always blow for no reason. When you know for a fact they can't smell you, but they want to blow and stop anyway, just to keep every deer in the area alert that you're probably in that deer stand.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break here in a second. When we come back, Tracy was really lucky to harvest a nice deer this year, and of course we're all lucky when we get to harvest a deer. We had his good friend, another staff member, Mike, on the camera. And when we get back, we're going to talk a little about that deer hunt and show you a little bit of footage of that, so stay tuned, folks. Hey folks, welcome back to Wild Kentuckiana Live. I'm your host, Tom Chamberlain. I really want to thank you for tuning in tonight. We've had a great episode with Bill Wilson from Orvis, talking about fly fishing, which is something totally new to me, and hopefully here in the future we'll be able to bring you some footage from them possibly trying to do their best to teach me how to do that. I'm not sure how well that will go. But now I got Tracy Taylor with me here, one of my staff members out of Adair County. And we got a few of them down that area, guys, and they really bust their humps for us. You know, Mike Hamlet, Bradley Vanderpool, and Tracy Taylor is my core group down there. These guys are killers. That's all they are. They kill everything. They kill does, bucks, coyotes. They are just flat killers. And we're so proud to have them on our team. And they do everything right. They do everything ethical. They take care of what they need to take care of, and they do it the right way. And we're just, Lights Out, just very proud to have these guys on our team. And I know, Tracy, y'all had other opportunities to go somewhere else, and I appreciate you joining up with us. And it's been a good fit. We're drama free, and we just like to kill stuff.
Yeah.
So that's always a good combination. You know, you got a good group of people, and your families are wonderful. Your wives are wonderful, and you know, it's just glad to be part of our family. So I just wanted to get that out there.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Now, like always, you kill a buck every year. Some of us don't get that opportunity. Some of us have tag soup. I know your cameraman, it's Mike. That guy there is a piece of work. He won't ever kill nothing. I don't know what he's waiting on, but I don't see too many 300 free-range inch animals out there, and I think that's what he's waiting on. So we're going to bust his chops a little bit and see if we can't fire him up to kill something. Yeah. Hey, Mike, we need footage bad, brother. Come on through for us. Tell us about this buck here that you just you got on this year. Have you had some history with this deer? Have you seen him last year or anything?
No, actually, the farm I was at, I've not actually hunted this piece of property since I was probably 13. And actually, to tell you the truth, I got in there to bow hunt, and then thankfully the landowner ran up on him about 2 weeks out, and he told me to go ahead and rifle hunt.
Sure.
So, you know, I was, you know, really appreciated that, you know, on him letting me in there, because, you know, I had a few good deer in there, but and the place started out, it looked real good. Me and Bradley went out there and checked it out, and it was a lot of old rubs from the previous year, and we hung a stand and put some minerals out, then eventually the corn, and all I was getting was does. I'm like, you know, this is just going to be a bum spot. But Bradley's one, throw it out there, and he's got this coming. Right. I'm one.
He's a lucky guy.
Yeah, and you can see what he done this year.
Right.
So, you know, he's on top of it. And so actually, I had one smaller 8-point show up, and we had a vacation down to Myrtle Beach. So we go down there, I come back, pull my cards, and I got 2 big 8-points showed up that week and about 6 other bucks. So it's just like.
During the daylight?
Yeah.
So you were really thanking Jesse for keeping you in Myrtle
Yeah.
Beach during that week.
It was
I understand.
awesome.
Yeah.
But you know, it was glad to see, you know, those
Sure.
deer was in the area.
Right.
But like I said, where I'm at, I can hunt some other properties there, and it's big hardwoods and deep valleys, and actually, I had another camera and a stand out, and I was having the same bucks there.
Mm-hmm.
And I know of another guy, and me and him got acquainted this year, that hunts this particular area also, and he's feeding, you know, he's got feeders out in corn piles,
Sure.
so he's getting the same pictures, and you know, these deer are all working,
Right.
hitting this ridge and that ridge, but
And they have a big home range. Those bucks
Yeah.
have a big home range.
so I had a core doe, herner, 2 youngins, and 2 other does that just hung out.
Mhm.
But the deer, I mean, we saw deer every time we hunted that stand, up to 8, and we started seeing some smaller bucks. And muzzleloader, actually, I passed up a decent 9-point, and he walked the opposite direction of the one I actually killed, and I scoped him and scoped him and scoped him, but he come up pretty thick, but his tines at the top they just
Yeah.
wasn't doing it for me, and
Right.
me and Mike's
Needed one more
bickering-
year.
Me and Mike's bickering back and forth on what to do, and you know, and in my head I'm like, well, I ain't shot one with a muzzleloader and blah blah blah, and anyways.
And then Mike's saying it's not 300 inches, let it walk.
Yeah. Well, he don't tend to hold me back too much unless it's just something real small.
Right.
But you know, I'm one that it gets a certain time of year, I'm going to shoot something.
Sure.
And you know, I want to kill that big one, but you know.
As you can see here, we're going to
Yeah,
show a little bit of
okay.
this footage right here. Kind of walk us through here. This deer, you'd seen him a pretty good piece away, right?
Well, I could see over to the other ridge, and I heard something walking, and I told Mike, it looked like a pretty good body coming around the ridge. So we got up and got everything ready, and when he come out of the thicket, I scoped him. I told Mike, get ready, because I'll probably shoot this deer. And, you know, we've been at it a while, so I was like, you know, let's let him go as far as he can go, and we'll get some good footage of it.
Yeah, that's important, you know, and, you know, we appreciate that for the Pursuit channel, is that extra footage right here that you're doing. So, folks, you know, if you have the opportunity to let a deer get on past you a little bit and get a little extra footage, it'll really pay off for you if you're planning on using that footage somewhere. That's a good mature deer. You know, that's a 3.5-year-old deer probably. Was he an 8-pointer?
Yeah, he's an 8-point, and I mean, this place is packed full of 8-points. I guess that's just the genetics.
Seems like he's on a mission. Was there a doe out in front of him?
Well,
or anything?
actually, right before that, we had we had a spike come through, and then we had a doe come through. I'm getting ready to shoot him here.
Nice shot. Quartering
And,
away. Great shot.
And, you know, the bullet we actually found lodged in the far shoulder, exactly where I wanted it to go. And I think it kind of got behind a tree here, but I take a follow-up shot just because it could, and that pretty much put him down.
Yeah, you don't want that animal to suffer anymore. Then you also told me that if he'd have went a little bit right, he'd have dropped down to a valley. It was about 1,000,000 miles deep.
Yeah, right there in front of us. You can't tell on the camera, but I mean it drops off to nothing.
Look at that. That's excitement you're wanting right there. That's the feeling that you want when you
And I
harvest
mean,
that.
you know, that's what you're out there for.
That's right.
You know, it's the hunt. You know, you can't just go by the inch of the deer on everything. It's
Right.
the experience.
Definitely. You know, I tell everybody that, you know, the size of the rack, that's a trophy to whoever shoots that. You know, not everybody's out there wanting to shoot 150, 60, 70-inch deer. Some people, and we all enjoy the meat. And, you know, as the season gets later and later, my standards get lowered and lower. I think most people are like that, you know. So when we come back from break here, we're going to talk about something else y'all get into. Y'all like to trap a lot. And you're starting to work into some traps, and you're hooked up with a guy that's really, really good at it, and y'all are learning a lot. So when we come back from break, folks, we're going to talk a little bit about how to trap and how to control that dog and fox and bobcat population to keep your rabbits and all that still around. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Hey folks, welcome back to Wild Kentuckiana Live. I'm your host, Tom Chamberlain. I got Tracy Taylor with me here, field staff for Lights Out Outdoors. Now Tracy, you've had a great year. You killed a nice buck, got to go on vacation on Myrtle Beach, keep mama happy, so it worked out perfect. Now you're getting into basically your trapping season now. I know you and Mike have teamed up with this guy. Like, tell us his name and a little bit about him and what's going on there.
His name's Chad Price. He's from Adair County also. I think his trapping goes back to his uncle and maybe his grandpa, but he learned a lot from them. And he's really got into. He goes to church with me, and we've really got to know each other and get into this trapping together. We used to get out and call coyotes. And he got real big on the trapping part, and me and Mike, we never really was into that aspect. We was more to get out there and call them in and
fire a weapon at them.
Yeah, get all the action going. And never really understood the trapping, and we got out with him last year, and it's a lot more to it than.
Yeah, I know. We y'all had a lot of nice video that we actually showed last year on there, and we had a lot of great response on that because I didn't realize. I'm like you. I like to see the action part of it. I didn't realize how many trappers we actually have here in the state of Kentucky.
And
it's amazing.
It's big back home, and I mean, if you're a coyote hunter, sometimes you feel like that interferes with you.
Yeah.
On calling them in, but at the same time, it's.
You can see here that he's setting his trap right now, and I mean, he's very delicate. I mean, he's really watching scent control and everything, isn't he?
Yeah, he's kneeling on a cut up rubber boot right there to help, get as much scent out of the way as he can. And this trap, we actually had a possum in this morning, and so he's going back resetting it, and what he's doing is he's making a bed for it and getting it packed back in there. And basically, you got to get it packed in there good because the way Chad talks, if a coyote comes up and it jiggles or rattles or anything, it's going to spook them off.
And they're gone. They're very timid animals anyway.
And they're like any dog. I mean, they're just wild, but they can figure things out a lot more than what you think.
So he's packing it all in here. Now, what's he usually use to cover up that trap with?
I don't know if the video will go on, but when he gets that part done, the way he was talking, he uses that loose dirt with the temperature the way it is now.
Right.
Then also, I think in that bucket he has some peat moss or something like that when the ground's froze.
And he just throws it on and covers it back up.
Yeah, he'll get that all down, and if the video goes on, he actually gets some dirt or peat moss he had with him, and he's got a sift. And
kind of sifts it back on top,
yeah,
so it's kind of loose dirt over it.
He'll put the dirt in there and sift it back on top. Then
Is he focusing on game trails? Is that what he's focusing on putting these traps at, where he knows there's an active game trail?
Right there, the foothold part. I think he's just getting in a pinch in a field somewhere because we had went through a pretty long field, and it's when it got down to the end and narrowed down, he kind of had it up in there a little piece.
Right. So once he gets that set, what's his next process there?
Next process after he gets it all covered back up good and everything, he's got a little piece of PVC pipe, and he had some bait that he got out and put in the PVC pipe.
What kind of bait is he using?
He said he thought he's getting it out there. He named off what it was, but it looks like goop to me. But he said he thought it was some bobcat parts and this and that. And after he put that in the PVC pipe, he actually had some spray he sprayed out that you usually buy to call with, just
right.
like when you're deer hunting.
Sure.
But it's for predators. And
right.
he just sprays that around the area, so it.
You can see famous cameraman Mike Hamlet there. He's on that DSLR pretty hard, getting some close-ups that we hope to turn into an episode this year on the Pursuit channel. So that'll be really good for us. This guy here, he really knows what he's doing, isn't he?
Yeah, I've learned more with 2 or 3 times I've been out with him. Mike's pretty much his neighbor, so he gets to get out with him a lot more than I do. I got up this morning and he didn't have about maybe 10 traps out, and he goes on vacation this winter. I think he said he'll have up to 70 some traps out.
Now I know the state of Kentucky, the Fish and Wildlife does a regulation on. Is it the same way you have to, you got to put your name and address on the traps?
Yeah, you're supposed to have all your traps and snares tagged.
Okay, so
that
they
way if somebody finds it, they know who it belongs to.
Right.
All that.
Now, does he also do some snares? Does he also do that?
Yeah,
too?
he's big on snares. We checked a few this morning. He had along a roadway, and pretty much the snare on it is finding a good fence roll, and that's what we showed on last year's show. Is
yeah.
And you don't really think about it, when you're deer hunting or this, because you'll see this little trail cut under a fence.
Right.
And, it could be a possum or
Sure,
a bobcat
coon or anything.
Anything. But and when he puts these snares out, he tries to funnel it out to where that's where they want to go through. But he'll put out a lot of snares down a fence row.
How long does it take him to actually put out and prepare one snare? Is it a long process?
No, I mean, it's about like that other trap. He knows what he's doing. And I mean, the snare process is not any bait. It's just finding where you want to put it. And
So once you find a location, it goes a little faster than actually setting the trap.
yeah, it's not as much preparation. It's pretty much if you got a tree to noose it off to, then he uses I can't remember, some kind of tie or caliper to put it on the fence to hold
Right.
it where he wants it to dangle.
Right.
And then he just puts it in that hole. Then he'll cut like some cedar limbs or
Kind
little
of brush it in a little
twigs and
bit.
brush it in to where they just want to go through that hole.
Right. Now, he seems like he knows what he's doing here, and hopefully on an upcoming episode, folks, we'll be able to bring him on. He's got a real unique story that Tracy was telling me off air, and it's very touching. And I'd like to bring him on and tell his story and talk a little more in depth about the trapping and snaring and showing some footage of that, because it is a growing sport in our state. I mean, a lot of people are really, in the rural areas, are really getting into the trapping and the snaring and that type of thing. So hopefully we can bring him on here fairly soon, and we'll get to talk about that. Now, when does trapping season end?
I think fur bear goes through January or February. I don't know exactly how far, but he mainly does it when he's off during his vacation in the winter, because you got to check them every day.
Right. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. I want to thank Tracy for coming out and spending some time with me, and thanks for all you do, Tracy. And we'll see you next week on Wild Kentuckiana Live.